Got that on you, hey. Got that on you. Don't have it ready. I wish you did. Or you should jump in. Got a lot. I've got a lot on you. Oh, Seiji. Oh, my back. Destroying my back. I got a lot. Got a lot on you, babe. LSU Odyssey live in the house. How is everybody doing? Happy Monday for you all. Um, I need to stop saying so much. LSU's staff is now finalized. All spots are finalized as of the last few hours. As we told you yesterday, Sterling Lucas was going to be joining LSU staff as defensive line coach today. That was officially announced, and he was made the last piece of the staff here, the last piece to the puzzle. A puzzle that now has expanded to include running backs coach Kevin Smith from Ole Miss. I mean, a lot of these people, Charlie Weiss Jr., Ole Miss offensive coordinator, all these guys, you thought they were going to be staying with Ole Miss throughout, through the duration of the playoff. But after just one game, they get cut loose. I found that really strange to me, that they cut them loose after just one game. It's kind of like, okay, what was the point of this whole exercise? But the point is now those guys are at LSU on staff, safe and sound in the building. There are guys now. What does everybody think about these new staff updates? Because there's some interesting things here going on. I'm shocked by a few of these things. Not many of them. There's one that kind of gets me like, whoa, okay. And that, without question is, well, actually, no, there is two things. I was mentioning how you're going to have like more than just two pass rushing specialists on this staff. You're actually going to have three now with Lou Spanos joining the staff as well. And so, I mean, this goes all over the place to really, really loading the staff with guys who can coach the edges, coach pass rushing, coach, backfield penetration at will. That's really what you're seeing here is it is three people now. So you've got Sterling Lucas, who is defensive line coach, but you've got all of these extra titles and terms to their all this verbiage that's like, whoa, okay, so it gets very specific. It gets very specific. It literally. I just said I was going to stop saying I've been thinking about that for a few days. Like I was listening to myself and I was like, you say way too much. You say way too much. We're gonna try and stop that. So just know we are trying to work on that as well. Oh, I just did it again. With it. I mean, that is automatic. I know. Wow. I'm already getting some comments of people laughing. Oh my God. This is going to be a comedic show probably, but hey, that's a good thing. That's always a good thing. Oh my God, I just did it again. That is so automatic. We've got to get that. We got to drill that out of us. I almost just did it again. I just did it again. Wow. So you have Lou Spanos and you have Chris Kiffin, Blake Baker, and Sterling Lucas, all either like linebackers, front, pass rushing, or edge kind of specialists. I mean, damn. That's a lot. And you know what? I'm usually I would be like, damn, you need a bunch of interior guys who can coach the interior. What are you doing? You completely lost all manner of what you should be doing with this staff. I actually disagree here because I mean, Kiffin's seen what we've seen. The lack of sacks is something that's incredible. And so this is a push for, hey, LSU are going, hell or high water. We're not going to have a bunch of missed sack opportunities in the backfield and things like that. So you got a few very interesting things here. It's not just Sterling Lucas who will be defensive line coach. You've got Lou Spanos. And Lou Spanos is also going to be pass rushing specialist. Okay? And that's in addition to Sterling Lucas. I mean, okay. Like, if that's how you want to do this, that's fine by me. As long as you are getting that penetration and sackitude, as I'll call it, the Sacagawea, as long as you're getting that solid Sacagawea sackitude in the backfield, then you're good. 14 and a half, not going to cut it. But here's the thing. Even if your interior are undersized, they're getting beat up, they're getting mauled in the running game, all this stuff. If you have guys who can go around the edge and penetrate, get sacks, hit the quarterback at will, that disrupts an entire offense. Bats the ball up in the air, all this stuff, and disrupts an entire offensive flow. And so you got Lou Spanos, assistant defensive line. Okay. Assistant defensive line. We got to point that one out. That I just did another very strange. Okay. And then Chris Kiffin. This one is very interesting here. Chris Kiffin, he's coached linebackers for a long time. He's coached defensive line for a long time. We were talking about that on the Go Team podcast that, we could see potentially Chris Kiffin be in a defensive line role if they couldn't figure out what they wanted to do there, who they wanted to put there. But now it's quite obvious Chris Kiffin going to be coaching the linebackers, taking that role away from Blake Baker. And then here is this very strange oddity as well. Okay. He's the co-defensive coordinator alongside Blake Baker. Chris Kiffin is now your co-defensive coordinator. Chris Kiffin's your co-defensive coordinator, everybody. What do you all think about that? Do you think that's weird? Do you think that's strange that Kiffin did that? What do you think of that? Because for me, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think you need all these there's a few co-offensive coordinators, there's a few co-defensive coordinators, there's a few this and this. But you know what? I just did another You know what? If Kiffin has seen this exact setup, this kind of flow of things work at Ole Miss, and it hasn't worked at Ole Miss long term. They're not, who knows how long they're going to be college football playoff contenders without Kiffin. Probably not long if you saw that Pete Golding press conference. And it's not to rag on Pete Golding. I shouldn't say that, but got a little shot in there. But I have nothing really against Pete Golding, to be honest. But it is interesting to me that you have a lot of code situations here, and a lot of what's the word here? Maybe sacrifice. So Blake Baker coming back to be the highest paid assistant in college football, to be a finalist for the Broyles Award, Blake Baker. And yet he is going to be sharing this position with Chris Kiffin, Lane's brother, who, unbeknownst to me, I had to be educated this by the Go Team podcast guys. I'm trying to think of who first. I think it was Chip who brought this up, but I'm not sure if he looked it up or knew about this, but I think he knew. I think he had a good memory on this, that Myles Garrett was someone he coached, and the man has had like a lot of success coaching the defensive line, defensive fronts. And so Chris Kiffin, this is not a nepotism hire or some bullshit like that. Like, if you just see the last name and you don't really know much about Chris Kiffin, do some research before, like, you kind of have that opinion that this isn't the way to go or whatever, because I really do believe that this is going to be a smart partnership. Blake Baker would never have agreed to this. Blake Baker had to be cajoled back to LSU. Not cajoled, but you know what I mean? Like, it worked for him, but it was a big thing that Lane Kiffin wanted. But at the same time, wanting to have Blake Baker back also meant, hey, Blake, but guess what? You're not going to coach linebackers this season. And Chris Kiffin's going to be the co-DC. I don't know if that was how that was like agreed upon, or when that took place, the agreement there, or what, if that was part of the reason Baker came back, or like if Baker signed the contract and then found out about this, that this would be the setup. It would be very interesting to know, because it's hard for me to think that Blake Baker would be down being a co-DC after the seasons that he's had, not just at LSU, at Mizzou. And that's not me trying to stir shit up or trying to like get some type of controversy going or something like that, some whatever. I just find that interesting, seeing that this guy's the everyone seems to have a Joe Cox. He's the co-offensive coordinator. He's the tight ends coach. So why is he the co-offense? Why is he the co-OC? And you're wondering why is this set up this way? Why is he the co-OC? This makes no sense. I think you gotta give this some type of patience, some type of time, because you've seen this setup work at Ole Miss. And if you've seen a staff work before in some capacity, it's got to at least make you feel better about how they've gone about this. Let's see here. You got Chris Kiffin going to be the new linebackers coach and the co-defensive coordinator. That's kind of some interesting tidbits there. Sterling Lucas, just defensive line. But then he's got an assistant in Lou Spanos, assistant defensive line / pass rushing specialist. What does that mean for Kevin Peoples? Is Kevin Peoples going to be staying at LSU? Because I'm almost expecting to hear next that Kevin Peoples won't be at LSU, because you got Lou Spanos. You got Sterling Lucas, who's already like more edge. You know, his history is more rooted in the edge, in the pass rush. And then you got Chris Kiffin, who's linebackers co-defensive coordinator. He's kind of rooted in that pass rushing situation. And then, we'll get into Kevin Smith. Don't you worry about that. But so where does Kevin Peoples fit in? Is Kevin Peoples going to be on staff in 2026? And you got to remember, Kevin Peoples isn't just an edge coach. This guy was a Broyles Award semifinalist. Developed Braden Swinson into an absolute freak. Had the most sacks of any defensive player at LSU since Arden Key. And yet, and of course, he's Blake Baker's like right-hand guy for so long. And in fact, while I'm doing this show, I'm actually literally typing to somebody right now to find out if Kevin Peoples is going to stay on staff, because I'm worried with all these edge guys, all these, we could call them edge lords to kind of make a reference to that term, that phrase nowadays, edge lords. These edge lords, how many are you going to have on this staff? You going to pay Kevin Peoples still to come back? I'm asking someone I absolutely trust, close to Kevin Peoples, someone who's really been very helpful for what we do over the last little while. Yeah, you can see I've got this weird like bald patch right here in my beard. I don't know what the hell that's from, but we're going to shave tonight because it just looks so weird. Look at that. It just looks so freaking weird. Only happens to me. Only this type of stuff happens to me. We're just joking. But yeah, you've got so much edge coaching pedigree now in the room, but not enough interior defensive line coaching minutia. So it's kind of strange that you are really loading up that side of the football well, not, I shouldn't just say that side of the football, that side of the defensive prism, that defensive kaleidoscope, where you really looked at and evaluated how bad LSU were at finishing off plays in the backfield. Just loaded up the pressures, right? LSU's defense racked up a ton of pressures last year. They were comparable to Texas A&M's defense and defensive front for most of the season. Just for one example of where they ranked, I should actually look up their rankings and where they ranked in pressures on the quarterback. But in sacks, just 14.5, as we've pointed out the last few shows, just 14.5 for the defensive line, just 27 for the entire team. Matt House's infamous 2023 LSU defense that people call, including myself, the worst in program history. They actually had 31 sacks. And yes, this team has one more game. Maybe they can top that, but I'm still going to remember the fact that this defensive front really were underwhelming as far as finishing off plays in the backfield, turning big time penetration and big time. I just always love saying that big time penetration. Oh, so much big time penetration into the backfield, but not enough sacks. There's like a sexual epithet, like every other word in football. Now that I think about it, there's like a sex joke everywhere you look, around every corner. Good Lord. So yeah, I am worried that Kevin Peoples won't return for next season with all of this, Lou Spanos, Sterling Lucas already being a kind of an edge-rooted guy as well. And maybe, that's not the whole nature of the whole situation. Maybe Sterling Lucas will be more focused on that interior defensive line. But it's very interesting to see where that will be. And I hope Kevin Peoples returns on the staff, because it's just another great mind, another fantastic recruiter, and another great guy, another great person, and another great family from a coaching staff and like a community standpoint that you just don't want to see leave, LSU. But a big win was getting Kevin Smith from Ole Miss. LSU have had problems at the running back position for years. And the last time you had a 1,000-yard rusher was Ty Davis Price. And he did that 2021 in basically like only a handful of games, like 5 or 6 games, the back half of that season, from the Kentucky game on. And then, of course, the single game SEC rushing record against Florida that he gets, thanks to the blocking of guys like Jack Smashburn, my bad. Jack Mashburn, the tight end / fullback, who is just a badass at LSU, 2019 national champion. Actually, he good friends with Joe Burrow too. Was hanging out with Burrow at the Bengals game the other day. Jack Mashburn, love his dad Kevin and his mom. They're great people. They're great people. One of the families I've absolutely kept in contact with and absolutely love is the Mashburns. But you really haven't had much of a rushing game at LSU for years. Nothing. It's been pitiful. And this year was absolutely the lowest point. Robert Downey Jr.'s 1999 or circa 2000, when he's shooting up in the bathroom while filming a variety of crazy movies. That's the type of place LSU's entire structure, LSU's entire devolution at the running game offensive line issues as well, coinciding with the lack of the running game, the worsening of the running game. So you can see why LSU were in the position they were in, rushing the football. You could not block. You could not sustain a running game. You could not drive a team off the ball. You could not dominate the line of scrimmage. You could not run it in with on first and goal at the 4, at the 3, at the 2, even at the 1. You could not run the football in from short yardage. You could not. LSU were inside the goal line countless times and could not run the damn freaking ball and put it in. Couldn't. And there's Kevin Smith with Lane Kiffin at LSU Ops. He's been with Kiffin for 10 years now. Families are close. You knew this move was going to happen. There was some Ole Miss BS where these guys were trying to say that I could see Kevin Smith staying. And that was just to like protect their ass in case Kevin Smith decided to stay for some like crazy like $7 million offer or some bullshit or whatever. Ole Miss just to stick it to LSU, like we'll make this guy the highest paid assistant in the country or whatever, like just to save his ass if it was wrong, And there was a few, I think Spirit Ben did something like that. I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if Kevin Smith came back to Ole Miss, and it's like, dude, that's not happening. The question now is, can you guys get Frank Wilson? Because I knew they were coming for Frank. They were coming for every single LSU assistant they could go after. And believe me, they are already coming for every single LSU Tiger that is even considering entering the portal or isn't considering going to the portal. They're just a great player and they're there. It's shocking the amount of hubris and disgusting pride in their ineptitude, in their decades of failure that Ole Miss has. They beat their chests with such an insanity. And it's like, you guys consider Kiffin the villain now, but without Kiffin, you don't get to this place. You don't get to this level that you won't be able to sustain. Much like how Alabama's finding that out with Kalen DeBoer right now. Like, yeah, you guys can have some success, you guys can do some certain things, but in the end, and it's something that's going to diminish return-wise quicker and quicker and quicker as time goes on. Tuscaloosa isn't going to have enough money for Kalen DeBoer. These things are going to slap him in the face because he's going to have one failure after another. They're not going to recruit the right players. Ole Miss, you think they're in a better situation than Alabama? Far worse situation than Alabama. So you compare those situations and achievements, program status. Ole Miss is nothing without Lane Kiffin. And yes, Austin Thomas is going to do a damn good job. Ole Miss are going to be able to get some big-time NIL pulls because of Austin Thomas. Frank Wilson, he's going to do his thing. He's going to pull a few Louisiana guys here and there every now and then, including off of our current roster in the portal right now. But Ole Miss are about to become an extinct sunfish. They're about to become like a sunfish, where the sunfish is the most cursed, most like embarrassing creature on planet Earth. They're this giant, fatty, parasite-stricken, parasite-invaded, just dome of flesh, this giant floating dome of flesh that literally can be eaten by seals. And it will just sit there just going, because its fin folds in on itself and it literally just floats and like this drunk version of Hugh Freeze, where it's just complete cocaine comatose, and they literally float on the surface of the ocean and will sometimes die from getting a heat stroke and things like that because they cannot like move much to like help themselves. Yet they lay like millions of eggs and all this stuff. So like the sunfish can be literally half devoured. They don't feel it. They're just like, do it to me. It's okay. There's nothing that anyone hasn't done already. Oh God. And then they can just rejuvenate all this shit. It's just crazy what the sunfish does. And that's what Ole Miss is about to turn into, where it's like, man, it's great that you're able to stick around and be competitive, but you're never going to contend. That's for sure. And it's a big point of that is because of the guys that LSU are taking off this staff. George McDonald, wide receivers passing game coordinator. He's going to be taking over for Cortez Hankton. And, Ohio State, if you want to hire Cortez Hankton, go for it. George McDonald, wide receivers passing games coordinator. That's the new man at the helm of wide receiver U. Sawyer Jordan, inside wide receivers. So he's your slot guys. He's your slot. I mean, they have a lot. I mean, I'm talking they're specializing so many roles on this staff. It's crazy. Joe Cox, tight ends, co-OC. So like we said before, you got a co-DC, you got a co-OC now. Associate head coach Kevin Smith. He's associate head coach as well as running backs. So that's something we didn't see as well was, man, like he's literally assumed Frank's role in a way outside of the recruiting coordinator position. Like you are given that big time responsibility because you're Lane's guy like that much. You understand Lane's vision that much. Sterling Lucas, I think there's a big chance he can get Dylan Stewart to come to LSU. In fact, there's some money people who are very, very, very confident. I wish I could feel as confident as they do because I want to make sure I can really get this story right and break this shit, and do it the right way. But I'm not able to confirm just 100% yet. But it looks like this is on. Like it looks like Dylan Stewart's going to be an LSU Tiger, at least for a one and done type of Mansour Lane season. But look at what you can sell, man. If you come to LSU for even just that 1 year, you can pull this off and do this. It's quite the narrative. So I'm really intrigued by this Chris Kiffin move. You got Lou Spanos coming in. You've got all this different movement as far as you're bringing in a lot of pass rushing guys. And is Kevin Peoples going to stay on? Where does he fit with all these new pieces to the staff coming in? Obviously, you've gotten rid of Frank Wilson. Obviously, you've gotten rid of quite a few of these guys on the staff. Brad Davis, without even Cortez Hankton, Louisiana guys. You got rid of multiple Louisiana guys on this staff. Frank Wilson, Cortez Hankton, and Brad Davis. And it sucks because Brad Davis, Cortez, they really didn't fulfill what they were supposed to be doing at LSU and supposed to be doing, taking those position groups to the next level. They didn't do that. And it sucks that you have to let go of those guys because you want the makeup of your staff, of the identity, to be all about Louisiana and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, don't you just want to win? And it's like wherever they're from. But you do want to make sure that it is rooted in Louisiana for a very good reason, and the reason is quite obvious because per capita, there's no other state that has more people in and around the NFL. Not just players, but coaches and administrators, back support staff, all of it. A lot of people involved in football from the state of Louisiana. So I'm impressed with this staff makeup. I wish that I wish. Let me put it this way. I hope it isn't like now Baker feels jilted because he didn't know that Chris Kiffin was going to be co-DC. I don't think that's the case, but I would hate for that to be the case, and then like you kind of start things off on a weird setting. I don't want it to be like the existing coaches who stayed on, like Baker, Corey Raymond, Kevin Peoples, until we know for sure that he's going to stay or not. Some of these people, um, are is there going to be a weird disconnect between the existing coaches who are going to be retained and the Ole Miss contingent, and how's that going to look? What's that going to be like? And I don't think there's going to be any problems because Lane Kiffin is the head. He's the tip of the spear here, and I just get really good vibes of Lane Kiffin from in the state of mind he's in right now. He's in a very attack-minded, a very driven, very aggressive mentality, very controlled, like and almost machine-like, but not mechanical. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing plastic about this. It seems like Kiffin is literally starting every day like he's like huffing steroids. Like, oh, let's go. I'm up at 3:30 a.m. Let's tweet this. Yeah, LSU. And you know what? If I was the head coach at LSU, I would feel the same freaking way, man. And I think when we saw Brian Kelly abuse that for multiple years, I think it pissed all of us off. Like, wow. At least Coach O, for all of his faults, at least Coach O understood this. At least Coach O understood the sacred reverence, but also the attitude. I hate that word, but the intense mentality, the just like dominator vibe that you have to have being in that position, or it just does not hit the same. It doesn't activate the fan base. And my God, man, if Lane Kiffin activates this fan base like he already is doing, if he continues to do that, where they're in Tiger Stadium, they're not leaving after the third quarter, they're not doing like if Kiffin can get that going, man, we are going to be in a great spot. You've got the staff looking really good here. You're about to embark on a really strong portal campaign, it looks, where you're going to have almost your pick of a lot of these top guys, almost $40 million in NIL cash, which we have reported on numerous occasions. And that number hasn't been refuted. That number hasn't been, hey, that's bullshit, which, that's happened sometimes where people want to spin a narrative or try and say, hey, you're wrong because we don't want other people in the locker room getting pissed about how much someone's getting paid, stuff like that. Didn't mean it wasn't true. Especially when you saw the $1 million chain someone bought the next day. But I see only good stuff here, of really strong alignment. I mean, you hate that you lost a guy like Ahmad Bro in the transfer portal. You hate that you lost a kid like Jawan Johnson in the portal. And it sucks that a few of those, but hey, they're going to get some playing time and they're finally going to get to show what they can do. And maybe they weren't going to get that opportunity at LSU. So, it's giveth and it taketh away. And now we're about to really see how this portal can giveth. And I think you guys are going to like the first few names that we are going to put in our article coming out tomorrow morning, bright and early tomorrow morning for your coffee. You're going to have it. LSU are targeting 3 huge, colossal, team-defining type of transfer portals. Transfer portals. That I'm gonna have to redo that because that will not be clipped. That was freaking terrible. LSU, we're going to put out an article tomorrow where it's going to be available perfectly bright and early for your coffee. Take 2 is even shittier. Our article tomorrow, it's going to be ready bright and early. Read it with your coffee, your early morning shit. LSU are going to have 3 primary targets that they are going to be hunting and pursuing in the portal that I've got confirmation of, that these 3 will be entering the portal. I know the portal doesn't open officially till the 2nd. We all know that that's not how this works. Moves are being made now. So that on the 2nd, you're ready to go somewhere else. On the 3rd, you're ready to go somewhere else. Not just announce now. When you announce on the 2nd or 3rd, you're already behind the 8 ball. So these agents have these kids getting this shit out early. LSU are going to be pursuing a trio of targets that are very interesting. Guys where I think LSU can get these guys. I think Lane Kiffin and the setup he has can get them. I would have been very confident of Kelly's staff getting these guys, these 3 specifically. So I think if that staff can get them, this staff can definitely do that, and maybe have a better chance at doing this. I'm really excited by these names. I cannot wait to share this article with you guys. It's some big breaking news. You haven't seen these names anywhere. And these 3 are studs, primal studs in college football. And I wouldn't be writing an article about, maybe, we are going to do a thing about, who LSU should target in the portal and stuff like that. But we were starting to write that. And then halfway through writing that thing, we started getting information about who they actually were targeting, not just like, let's think of who they could. Now you're actually getting the info of who they're going to go after. And the names are absolutely brilliant. Hey, buddy. The names are absolutely unbelievable. The names are absolutely spine tingling. And because of certain situations, certain setups, it might take a second for them to get to LSU. It might take a second for things to be fully announced, but we've been ahead of things before on many stories, and sometimes things have taken a while for things to be announced on other stories. But that doesn't mean we're going to be wrong on this, because we're not going to be. Everybody, have a good rest of your night. We're going to be working hard putting this article out early tomorrow morning. Get ready for it, but also check out our last few shows. Check out our guest appearances on the Go Team podcast, as well as Double A Team podcast. Check out the last few shows we've done. Check out the articles we've done. All of it right there on LSUODYSSEY.com. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. We are so close to our 1,000 subscribers to get paid finally for this. So please give a like, give a subscribe. We've got 136 people watching. If all 136 of you are subscribed or could hit that button, we will be over that number. So please help us and have an amazing Christmas coming up. I'm just going to say that every time, even though we're going to do shows every day leading up to Christmas, maybe even a show on Christmas, knowing us probably. But everybody, we absolutely love you. Go Tigers. have a good rest of your night, and thank you for watching us, and thank you for giving us of your time. And we really love doing this, and I can't really envision a time where I won't be doing this. Everybody, have a good night.